We're back with track versus track, and we just got done recovering from Rubber Soul versus Revolver, and then we decide we have to bring in the Pepper, named the greatest album of all time by Rolling Stone and other lists, I'm sure. Whether or not we agree with that, that's not for discussion, but it is the elephant in the room. And when we're talking this era of Beatles, it was inevitable that we start doing track versus track. Against it, we haven't talked Pepper yet. General feelings, Matt. Did you ever do an album ranking or something?
Yeah, I had Revolver higher than Pepper, and you know, like you said, Rolling Stone had this as the greatest album of all time. I've seen Revolver on lists though that put it ahead, so it's gonna be close, very close.
I think it's a cohesive album. But when we're doing this track versus track, I think we're going to see that there is a lot of fluff, or miscellanea, I guess I would call it. Yeah. Songs that are more like part of this puzzle they're putting together, but maybe not in great individual pieces. That's my theory going into this, and we'll find out. Yep. This is certainly the album I've listened to the most, probably, whether or not it's my favorite or not. And it starts, of course, with. Have you ever seen the movie Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band?
Oh yeah, I rented it on VHS tape, and I thought it was absolutely terrible. However, I bought it since like 3 times on different formats. I buy it, yet I don't watch it. I buy it and I shelf it, but I feel like I need to have it. I also have the vinyl. I should have pulled that out as a prop.
That's for a future track versus track. We do the Bee Gees versus the Beatles. That will go great, I'm sure. Sgt. Pepper starts with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the song, which is a good song. What's the first track of Revolver? Remind me.
Taxman, Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Yes. Grumpy George strikes again. And I probably prefer we're going to get to the reprise. I prefer the tempo of the reprise, honestly, for Sgt. Pepper. Yeah. But I'm going to go with it over Taxman.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same for sure. As a kid, I loved Sgt. Pepper, and then as like a college student, I heard the Jimi Hendrix cover of that song.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely love. But yeah, I think the reprise is actually a snappier little number. It's not as complex, obviously, but yeah, I'm gonna give it to that over Taxman. Yes, sirree.
And of course. Yeah, number 2 on Revolver is
Eleanor Rigby. Yeah.
Well, Sgt. Pepper goes right into With a Little Help from My Friends. Actually, technically, Billy Shears, I believe, singing With a Little Help from My Friends. And I know you're going to bring up the Crocker version or the Joe Cocker version, and I don't care for that one either. So, easy. Eleanor Rigby for me, one of the best songs ever written, and I'm going to stick with it. Revolver for me.
Me too. And you know what I really like? With a little help from my friends, the Beatles. It's fun to sing along with too, and it's one that you don't necessarily.
It's in my range.
Yeah, there you go. Not one that you would be like, "Ooh, I want to listen to a great Beatles song. Let's listen to it with a little help." But if it's one that you have like the Beatles music on shuffle and it comes up, you're always like happy to hear it. You know, I feel like it's always a welcome song. But no, man, the Joe Cocker version smokes. It's awesome. How can you hate that?
I don't hate it. I just don't love it like a lot of people.
I love it.
Don't judge me. But the problem with a little, when it comes up on a shuffle, it starts with the end of Sgt. Pepper, like them saying Shears or whatever it is, and that's always weird. So if we're talking about individual tracks in an album, that's cool, but tracks not so much. Track 3 on Revolver is
I'm Only Sleeping.
And that's up against Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
John versus John.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember if I gave it to I'm Only Sleeping before. I don't think I did, but Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is clearly the more. I mean, it's nonsense. Again, it's one you probably like more as a kid than as an adult. But I am going to go with Lucy.
Yeah.
Sgt. Pepper.
Loved it as a kid, loved it as a young adult, love it as 40-something. I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Four.
Getting better on Sergeant Pepper against.
Love You Too.
Boop, 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 boop,
George Sitar Indian raga tune, and
boop, boop,
you know,
boop, boop, boop.
for me, not even a contest, not
No,
even worth discussing, because Getting Better rules. And the thing I love about Getting Better,
can't
you
get
have
no worse.
the optimistic verses and the optimistic chorus by Paul, which this is a truly like a co-written tune. This was actually a very rare thing for them to be doing at this point. But I've got to admit, it's getting better. It's getting better all the time. And then John comes in with, it can't get much worse. I mean, that's just their total personalities are. Whereas, the first verse, it talks about, I used to be, this and
An
that.
angry young man. Oh,
An angry young man and hiding the head in the sand. But then, the verse that John sings is, I used to be bad to my woman. I beat her and kept all the things. I mean, it's
yeah,
total
yeah.
personalities there in both of them.
But he's getting better.
Yeah. Yes, he's
Yeah, I'm also giving it 2 Pepper. Oh, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I just love how these flow. It is maybe a better like constructed album.
Yeah.
Fixing a Hole is next on Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah. And that's
Where the
going
rain comes down.
Here, There, and Everywhere, which Paul actually, when he's been interviewed before and they've asked him what his favorite song that he's ever written, he won't say Yesterday. He says Here, There, and Everywhere quite a bit. I don't know if that's just him like being contrarian or whatever, but yeah, I don't think he would ever say Fixing a Hole was his favorite
Yeah, it's one of those goofy piece of life stories, and I like Here, There. I love the harmonies. I love the silly love songness of it. Yeah, that's an easy Revolver for me. Are we?
This one's kind of hard for me, actually.
Oh, harder for you. Oh.
Which one do I actually think is a better song? Here, There, and Everywhere by Miles. Fixing a Hole but there's something about that middle section. And it really doesn't matter if I'm wrong, I'm right. Where I belong, I'm right. Where I belong. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. And he sings it really well, too. It comes across to me sometimes as being a lesser version of Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. They both have kind of these circusy sounds to them. But you know what? Right now, today, Here, There, and Everywhere, his voice just sounds so tinny on it. I love it. I'm going to give it to Fixing a Hole. I know that's crazy.
There you go. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you've mentioned that tinny recording before, so I guess I shouldn't be as surprised as I am. Whew, okay. She's Leaving Home is the next track on Sgt. Pepper. And on Revolver, it is against...
Yellow Submarine.
Okay. All right, so here's the thing. I don't really care for Yellow Submarine, all the sound effects, loved it as a kid, yada yada. She's Leaving Home, pretty song, gets more touching as I get older, except for it ends with fun. She's leaving for fun. Fun is the one thing that money can't buy. They couldn't think of a better word than fun. Like, I mean, I'm like, it just feels so, like, they should have just left that, like, ambiguous or whatever. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, when I was listening to it the other day, I'm like, oh. But Yellow Submarine. I'll go with Yellow Submarine because I did the rant against She's Leaving Home. So, yeah. I love the honks. Silly Joe. Whatever. I don't know the word. I don't know what he's saying. We're getting a loopy. What? Pick a reason why you're doing She's Leaving Home. Yeah.
No. I'm going with you on Yellow Submarine.
Okay.
Funny story about She's Leaving Home is it's my dad's favorite song off of Sgt. Pepper.
Well, he has a daughter.
Well, yeah, he thinks it's just really pretty. And actually, Harry Nilsson sings it. It was one of the songs that the Beatles gifted him to kind of help start his career. It's so orchestrated. So I love Eleanor Rigby for its chamber orchestra, but this is like the kitchen sink orchestra.
They're trying too hard.
Too hard. Yeah, it's boring. I mean, it's pretty, like you said, but it's a track skipper for me. I think it's the most boring song off of both of these. It's super. It's like Love You Too on here. They're both. I just skip them. I don't listen to them.
All right. What's next? What closes the first side of Revolver? Remind me.
She said. And does this close the first side?
It does.
All right. What is it?
being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. You mentioned it. Gosh, I don't. This is one that works in the context of the album, but if I'm taking it as a song, it's too much. I mean, we talked about She's Leaving Home being too much. This one's too much, but not on the pretty side, just like circus craziness. She said, easy, 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 easy for Jacob.
Yeah, same here.
All right.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite, actually used to be like the most terrifying song for me when I was a kid. There's something about it that just was very nightmarish. I do like it though.
When they do the waltz is scary.
Yeah, kind of that, and that's in the outro of the song too. They reprise the waltz. Yeah, it's
and he will conquer the world or something. Yeah. Who is this kite, and why do we want to watch a circus in his benefit?
Yeah. All righty, side time. Do I do a quick score check?
Yeah, let's do. I think I have Sgt. Pepper for 3 and Revolver at 4, and you're the opposite. 4 for Pepper, 3 for Revolver.
That's right.
That's sounding right?
That is sounding right. Yep. I went She Said, Yellow Submarine, Eleanor Rigby, and just three for Revolver. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Opening up, side 2 on Revolver and Sgt. Pepper are
Good Day Sunshine, a Paul tune, and that's going with the side 2 opener of this is Within You, Without You, another sitar song, very similar to Love You Too.
Yeah. Not my favorite track. If I were to rank the Sgt. Pepper tracks, it might be it's definitely in the bottom third.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a big sitar guy. We talked about not loving Good Day Sunshine either, but I think it was up against something that I had to give it to. I think I have to do it again here. It's another Good Day Sunshine for me.
Yep, for me as well. Isn't that funny that these are two albums that you see in like the top 10, top 5 greatest albums of all time? Like whatever list you look at, these two are in the top 10, right? I would be surprised to see a list without these two. And yet those are the side 2 openers. These must be the best albums with the worst side 2 openers.
I bet there are people that love both of them though.
Sure.
Like definitely Good Day Sunshine. Within You, there's going to be the contrarian who says it's the best track on the album, which not this guy. And I've talked about, I've come around on George a lot. Like I've grown to like him, but I think he's a much more interesting after the Beatles than he is as a Beatle. I tolerate him as a Beatle. That's the best I can say. Talking about tolerate, this is one that I'm sure I loved this song at one time. It's When I'm 64 on Sgt. Pepper. I love the sentiment of it, at least. The production maybe is what is wearing on me a little bit. What's it up against on Revolver?
And Your Bird Can Sing.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to go with Bird. This is a John versus Paul.
Yep.
Johnny Boy for Jacob.
Yeah, I've really kind of started to sour on a lot of the Paul, just his, I don't know what you'd even call them, ditties, his little song and dance man tunes. And when I was a kid, I loved When I'm 64. And you're right, there is a weird production to his voice. It almost has that same tinniness that you hear in Here, There, and Everywhere with his voice. I don't like how his voice sounds in this song. I can't connect with And Your Bird Can Sing. I'm sure it's a better song. And When I'm 64 was one of his early songs that he wrote, kind of like with I'll Follow the Sun off of Beatles for Sale. One of his first songs. I'm going to give it to When I'm 64. Crazy.
Okay. What is the next track on Revolver?
All right. For No One. Just a perfect.
Yeah. I really like the track on Sgt. Pepper, though. It's Lovely Rita. Another character track, but this one's more. It's a kind of a goofy Paul song about a lovely Rita meter maid. But yeah, it's No for No One. For No One is easily the winner here for me.
Yep, me too.
I bet Lovely Rita's fun to play live. Have you done that?
She never done. There's quite a bit going on with Lovely Rita. If you listen to it, it's a little spiky too. Yeah, there is the piano in there. I've never done it though. I do like it. I like it better than When I'm 64, but I can't deny For No One.
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got for the next one on Pepper?
Good morning. Good morning. Should have opened track 2. Or side 2. Why is it? Why doesn't Good Morning open side 2?
Interesting. Interesting. That would make Good Day Sunshine opening track side 2 versus Good Morning, Good Morning. That would
That's why
be.
I'm thinking of it, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's more of another production forward track than an actual good song.
Right.
So make it easy for me.
Yep. Dr. Robert, another kind of, I think John would tell you both throwaway songs.
Yeah.
Good Morning was inspired by a cornflakes commercial. And Dr. Robert is, pretty much talking about the local dope dealer, that had the LSD in England. I think I like Dr. Robert slightly better than Good Morning, though.
Good Morning can get a little irritating, especially by the end. But I don't care for either song. But I am going to go with Dr. Robert. Because I don't like good, how it trails off. It just, yeah.
And the rooster crowing in there. I hate when they put animal sound effects in their songs. You get the rooster go, which bleeds
we get that reprise of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which I've said before I prefer to the original, but it is a shorter, barely a song. So, what's it up against on Revolver? Is it Yesterday?
It's going up against another George song.
Oh.
It's I Want to Tell You, his third song off of Revolver.
Yeah. It's tough because I don't want to give it to Sgt. Pepper for the same song twice,
Right.
but I like it better than I do the George song. So I am going to go with the faster Sgt. Pepper version.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jacob. I mean, if we both gave Sgt. Pepper over Taxman, we got to give the reprise, which is a better song than I Want to Tell You, I think.
Yeah.
We got to give the reprise over I Want to Tell You. So, yeah, I'm going to go with you on that too.
All right. Well, Sgt. Pepper ends on what many people like whenever they do a countdown on the Beatles station on Sirius XM, they do a countdown. It always number 1 is always A Day in the Life. Right. And if Sgt. Pepper is the greatest album of all time, when they ask what the greatest song of all time is, or greatest Beatles song is, A Day in the Life is always in the conversation. What's it up against in Revolver?
Got to Get You Into My Life, which I know you're not as keen on. I
like that song. I like the horns. It's a cool song. But I've already hyped up what everyone thinks of A Day in the Life without saying what I think about A Day in the Life.
Yep.
A Day in the Life, a song I love the John parts of. And then Paul comes in. Get out of bed, move comb across my head. And some would argue that's why it's great. It's clearly like this is them being two separate artists combining a song. The John parts are really haunting. And I think I am going to give it... I don't think it's the greatest Beatles song. I don't think it's the greatest song of all time. Would it be in my top 10? Maybe. I'm going to give it over Got to Get You Into My Life, though. Easy. Probably not easy, but easier than some tracks, for sure.
I agree with you. I love Got to Get You Into My Life. I think I like it more than you like it. I put it in my top 25. But yeah, when I did the top 25, Day in the Life went number 1 for me. And I was telling you this a couple days ago. I think it isn't anymore, though. It's been bumped to number 2. I think my number 2 and my number 1 have switched places. I don't want to say what that song is.
Okay, because it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. But yeah, I think maybe A Day in the Life is just so overrated now that it's kind of
that's hard.
Powering me a little bit. And the orchestral buildups are kind of boring, in between verses.
That's the part I loved originally. First time I heard it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, and you've heard probably the very end of that last orchestral buildup when the inner groove hits, and it's got that backwards, never got to any, what never got to any, what never got to any, what. That used to, I said being for the benefit of Mr. Kite scared me. That scared me because a lot of times I would turn off the album. I didn't let it run until the CD actually stopped. And I remember the first time I heard that, I think I put Sgt. Pepper on like to go to sleep to. And I woke up in the middle and I do never gonna see Danny.
Because
And
there is a break. Yeah.
yeah, there's a long silence after that final chord hits on the orchestral buildup. And I remember telling my sister, I'm like, what is that craziness at the end of A Day in the Life? And she had no idea because she had never made it that far. So she thought I was making it up.
I remember when I first got a computer, I recorded that song and reversed it, tried to figure out what the hell was going on because I didn't have a record to try and reverse or anything. Never figured it out. It's just nonsense.
Allegedly, they do say something, and I probably can't share it on air. So I'll tell you when we end this recording. But
Something dirty.
it is.
Okay. Revolver's not done yet, though.
No. Nope.
What is the final track on Revolver?
Another kind of freaky song, Tomorrow Never Knows, which, the orchestral buildups and stuff like that on A Day in the Life was inspired because of what they did on this song. So those two songs are very, I think, related. Tomorrow Never Knows is what allowed a song like A Day in the Life to occur. But what are we going to do, Jacob? We're out of tracks here. What's the plan, Stan?
So we looked at the deluxe edition that just came out a couple years ago, 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper. Most of them are like take 5 of, fixing a hole or whatever. But at the very end is Penny Lane, which was recorded in the same sessions, more or less.
Absolutely. Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields, both recorded at the same sessions.
Yeah, there later ends up on the Magical Mystery Tour soundtrack that I know, that I grew up with. But we decided to make it and I'm going to give it to Penny Lane. That's spoiler alert. Penny Lane's a great song. But yeah, we decided we have to, even it up. Makes sense there. Are you going to be a contrarian? Are you not a Penny Lane guy?
No, I absolutely love Penny Lane, and I'm actually super surprised, Jacob. We've done a bunch of these now, and Tomorrow Never Knows usually gets like the top 10 Beatles songs when they do those countdown things too. People just think it's so it is. I think it's more important than it is good, right?
Yeah.
Because it just stays on the same chord the whole time. Just turn off your mind, relax. There's no chord change to it. He's almost like he's doing like some kind of Indian chant over the top of just a drone. But Penny Lane, I think, is the most...
it's a cool... Yeah.
I love it. Easy.
I'm not going to... Yeah, I don't want to downplay Tomorrow Never... Because it is cool to listen to. But if I'm going to choose one to listen to, it's going to be Penny Lane. And if I'm going to say which one's better, it's going to be Penny Lane. Yep. All right, so by my count, I have 7-7. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, no, it's a tie, Jacob.
You have 7 to... Wait, do you have 7-7? You have 7-7.
Wow.
We've tied.
What can we say is the tiebreaker? Can I offer a suggestion?
Do it.
So we've got one more song that was recorded during the sessions, which is Strawberry Fields, but we have 2 recorded for the sessions here, which is Paperback Writer and Rain. So you take those 2 songs. I mean, for me, I'm going to let you talk on this. How would you rank those 3 songs from least favorite to favorite, those 3 songs?
Strawberry Fields Forever versus Rain, and what was the other one?
Paperback Writers. So how would you rank?
Paperback Writer would be number 3. And then Rain. Rain would be number 1. Rain, Strawberry Fields, Paperback Writer.
All right. Well, so I guess you got to give it to Revolver then.
I would have to give it to Revolver. What would your vote be, though?
Oh, this is tough. So all 3 of those songs, actually, and if you put Penny Lane, all 4 of those songs made my top 25.
Oh.
And I think I had Rain the highest of the 3, but I'm going to give it to Strawberry Fields Forever today. I think that song is just amazing. You got the orchestra in there. It's a beautiful song, but it's also weird. So it's not like Tomorrow Never Knows, but it's just weird. It's beautiful too. And that middle section, living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Oh my God, there's something just absolutely magical about that bridge.
There's something about the drums in Rain that made me give it the edge. But Strawberry Field, I have a very soft spot for Magical Mystery Tour, and we'll get there eventually. And that's what I associate Strawberry Fields with. but yeah, that's a tough one. That's why Paperback Writer was easily third, because Rain versus Strawberry Fields was like, oh, fudge. But I don't think we'll have to make that decision ever again. Maybe. So, all right. If we had to give a tiebreaker, you're Peppers and I'm Revolver, as it should be. No more ties. We're done with it. Okay. Bye, folks. We'll be back.
See ya.